So Pioneer DJ just released their brand new DJ controller, the DDJ FLX6, which looks amazing by the way, and it comes with two new features. First is merge effects and second is jog cutter mode. And today I'm going to show you how to do those things and how to use those features on DDJ 400 or any controller if you have a few things. So watch this video to learn how to use merge effects and jog cutter on your controller. Check this out. Let's go. Hey, what's good you guys? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Deep and this is where I do a lot of DJing and tech related tutorials, tips and tricks to help you become a better DJ and to help you get better at using technology. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing. Alright, so first thing first, I'm going to show you how these new effects sound. The first thing is merge effects, and this is how that sounds. I'm going to play a track, you can watch the screen, and this is how that sounds. The track has started. I'm going to apply the merge effects now. Increase intensity. Okay, and that is one of the effects. You have 4 of them on the rekordbox DJ software. Now this is a feature which is added to rekordbox 6.3. It is not something which can be done only in that DJ controller. No, it can be done on any controller. All you need to do is make some changes in the MIDI editor, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And the second function is called the jog cutter mode. What the jog cutter mode does is that it actually creates the sound of the vinyl cuts without actually using the crossfader, and that sounds something like this. Now if you add that with the beat, it'll sound something like this. And so on. And this is an effect which can be done on any controller, not just controller, even on the players. We've been doing this from, I don't know, 8-10 years now, and it is now finally added as a feature, but it is just a little trick that you can do with using the effects section. I will show you that as well. First thing first, I'm going to show you how to add, the merge effects onto the DJI 400 that you can access using a set of combination keys. Okay, let's do that. So what you need to understand is that we are going to remove some functions of the DDJ 400 to be able to add these new functions into the DDJ 400. This is just a controller, and any button on the controller can be used to trigger any kind of function which is a part of the rekordbox DJ6 software. Okay, so let me show you the screen. Okay, so on the screen, if you can see the effects section here, click on the effects here and you can see that the MFX1 is added. Now if you don't see this function, go to the settings and go to the controller, go to effect and activate merge effects. If it's not enabled, this will not be visible, so enable that function. Okay, and that is how you can have access to these new effects. Okay, now if you can see, there are 4, and there are 4 that they released. The first one, the second one, the third one, and the fourth one can all be activated using the mouse as well. But since you have the controller, what we want to do is that we want to activate, deactivate, change parameters and all of that using the controller itself. I'm going to show you on the DJI 400. So what you need to do is that you need to go into the MIDI settings window, which is here on the top right. Click on that and this new window will open up. Okay, now when you connect the controller, this is how your panel will look. Okay, now in this, if you can see, it is showing that it is connected to the DDJ 400 and right now it is in default settings. The first thing that I would recommend you do is that you export these settings onto your desktop. Just leave it as it is, click on save, and that is basically your default settings which are saved as a backup, because now we are going to change these parameters. Okay, so in the effects section, what we want to do is we are going to add the MFX1. Okay, click on add and then click on MFX1 and click on MFX1 on. That will add the first function, which is turning on the effect on deck number 1. Okay, and the second thing is what you need to add is how to change the parameter of that. So MFX1 parameter is what you will add. The first one that you added is how you will turn it on and off, and the second one that you added is how you will actually change the parameter or the intensity and how it works. Okay, so these two things are added. Now the drawback is that only one deck can be used. The reason behind that is the parameter requires a rotatory type knob. In the DDJ 400, only the browse knob is a rotatory knob. Basically it is an encoder. Encoder means it can keep turning to infinite numbers. Okay, for example, the filter knob it'll just go some degrees left and some degrees right. So you need one of the encoders, and the only encoder which is on the DDJ 400 is the browse button. Now we also need to use the browse button. So now let me show you a few functions which for me are useless on the DDJ 400. The first one is using the shift button and rotating the browse knob, and that will actually change the waveform's magnification. Check that out. Okay, so this is a function which I don't really want to use. I will not keep changing the magnification. So that is something that I can get rid of. And the second thing is by pressing the shift button and the Q button, you can actually change the tempo of the or change the BPM of the track, and I don't need to do that. You can actually mess up your track while doing it if you don't practice enough. So that is another function that I can get rid of. So those are the two functions we are going to get rid of. And for the first function, which is the wave zoom, it is in the other section. Go to the others menu and there you will see wave zoom. Click on that and delete that. Click OK, and then go back to the deck, and in deck you can see that there is tap BPM 1. You need to get rid of that as well. Okay, click on that and click delete. Now that is gone as well. Come back to effects. Now before you go forward, let me tell you that you don't have to worry about these settings. When you're done with checking out these new features, if you don't like it, you can always go back here, click on the default, and all your default settings will be back here. And if you don't see the default function, you can actually click import and choose the file that you just saved earlier, and all your default settings will be back. Now that you've removed those settings, click on MFX on and click on learn. Now when you click on learn, what that does is any button that you press here will be added into the controller's effect. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to, for the on and off, what I'm going to do is press on the shift button and then I'm going to press on the Q button, which means it will turn on only when the Q button is pressed while the shift button is on. So I'm going to do that now. See, added. As soon as I click that, you can see that it shows 9068, which is the code of this function. You don't need to remember that. The second thing is MFX1 parameter. So click on that and then the learn is activated. You will again press shift and you will rotate the browse knob, and that is also added. Okay, now you can see that these two things are added into the effects section, which means now what will happen is undo the learn, close it, and you can see that the minute I press shift and press Q, the function number 1 will turn on. Let's check. Okay, now to change the parameter, you just have to press the shift button again and use the rotatory knob. And you can see here that it's changing. When you're done, all you need to do is press the Q button again while the shift button is pressed down. And that is how you can activate and deactivate the merge effects. Now you can't change the merge effects using the controller. You need to add another function, but that is something which you're not adding. So you can use your mouse to do that. Okay, now I'm going to show you an example. Let's do the example now. The track is playing. Click on shift and press Q. Okay, so the new function which is added to the FLX6, the DDJ FLX6, which is the all new merge effects, are now accessible on any DJ controller that has a rotatory knob, which is an encoder, and any button that you can get rid of and add your new effect. You can actually do this on any controller. So that is how you can add that on the DDJ 400. Okay, if you did not understand what I just did, please go back and see the whole video again. Okay, now the second thing is actually this one here, which is called the Jog Cutter mode. Okay, which is actually a hardware function. It is added to that controller inbuilt. It is basically something that can only be possible in this controller, which is FLX6. But I'm going to show you how to achieve a similar effect using the trance effect on the controller. In the rekordbox DJ software, there is an effect called trance. So if you press the effect select button on the DDJ 400, these are all the effects that you get, right? So go back to trance, let's select trance. And as you can see, trance is now selected. What trance does is it actually chops, just like the Jog Cutter mode, it actually chops your sounds. Let's listen to how the scratch sample sounds without the effect. Okay, now I'm going to activate the effect, then I'm going to play this track again. So what just happened is that the scratch sample started chopping because of the trance effect, and we are going to use the trance effect to create the same Jog Cutter effect which is there in their brand new $600 DJ controller. Okay, so yeah, this is how that sounds as soon as you press play, and then all you need to do is turn on your effects. Check this out. Okay, so that is how you can actually use the Jog for the Jog Cutter effect as well. It is not the same thing which is there in the controller, in the new controller, which is this one, but it is going to sound similar, and this is possible not on this controller but any controller that has the trance effect. Okay, now what you can also do is that you can change how often you want to cut. So this is how it sounds with the current effect. Okay, and if you change the beat parameter, which is on the top here, check this out. I'm going to change the beat parameter and turn it into half. And I'm going to cut it even more. Basically, the best sound that comes out is when it is in 1 or 1 by 4, I think. When it is in 1 by 4, this is how it sounds. Now, while performing, you can also change using your left hand. So 1/4 is the best sounding effect function. Okay. Now, the minute you add the beat to it, it sounds a lot better. Okay, and that is how you can, you still need practice, because this is something that needs practice. You can't just become a scratch DJ as soon as you start using these effects. These are actually cheating. Even the controller, the effect on that is actually cheating. So if you really want to get into scratching, learn the real deal, this is just a way to get into the cuts and the chops. You don't have to use your crossfader to do that. So you don't need to use your crossfader. All you need to do is activate the effect. And you can actually get the chops out of your controller, and that is how you can get the two big functions that they showed off with their DDJ FLX6, and that is now possible on a 24,000 rupees controller as well, which is the DJ 400. Remember, all you need is a rotatory knob and one of the functions to get rid of. So the tap BPM is something which I did not need, and the wave zoom is something which I did not need. So I added those two functions into my MIDI editor, and now I can activate and deactivate anytime, and I can use the release effects on my old controller. I don't need to buy the new controller. Okay, by any means this is not a replacement to the original controller. Okay, now in the original controller you have a dedicated knob and two of them, so you can actually keep switching between the effect. In this controller you'll have to use the instant doubles to switch the track into this deck 1 to be able to use the effect in each track that you play, and that is a drawback, but that's okay. What I'm trying to say is today is the day when you can actually check those effects without investing or getting your hands on this brand new controller. You can do that on this controller, but it is a hack. It is not the real deal. So there you have it. That's about it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video today, and if you guys did, please don't forget to hit that like button and share this video with your friends, and also please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on that bell icon to get notified every time I upload a new video. That's been it. My name is Deep, and I will see you guys in the next one. Happy to help.